Hi, I'm Peter Maffa, and I made this video to show you how I built this really neat project. It's something I've been wanting to do forever, so I hope you enjoy it. I was asked to reproduce this, what they call a flying portico. It was in a neighborhood where there were about 6 houses that had been built by the same builder, and at some point someone had removed one of these and replaced it with a aluminum awning. I took all the measurements I could, photographs and angles, and used cardboard to trace the arch and anything I could do to collect all the information. And then I brought all the information and created a model in SketchUp that just allowed me to have all the information in one place, and also allowed me to create drawings that I could print out on full-size paper and adhere to pieces of material that I'm cutting to different shapes. So I adhered the printed drawings to lumber. I used sapele, which is a really high-quality hardwood, and I cut everything oversized just to get things down to their general size. And then I jointed and planed those pieces just to get them closer to their thickness. And I glued those parts back to themselves. And then after that, I bandsawed everything right to the line, leaving the line so that when I sanded or shaped, I could do that right to the line, sanding the inner back edge and then the outer edge with the oscillating spindle sander. Very handy tool for this part of the job. On the flat stock, I had plowed out for the decorative panel, but here I'm boring the hole for the drop finial. And I turned one finial, and then in this video I'm turning the other one. And sapele is a great exterior grade wood, great for rot resistance and insect, and very paintable. So I took a bunch of photographs of the front and stitched them together in a photo processing piece of software, and then exported that photo into AutoCAD, and then I traced over the photo with all kinds of arcs and circles and splines and whatever it takes. There was a lot of paint buildup on this piece, so I just tried my best to get the essence of the artwork. With the computer drawing that I had created, I was able to take that information and feed it to the CNC machine, which I used a 1/4-inch bit, which allowed me to cut out most of the material, but the real sharp corners and anything under a 1/4-inch diameter didn't get machined, so I sketched roughly and used the scroll saw to cut those parts. And I gotta say that the scroll saw really was the missing link in making everything really sharp and pop really nicely. I see a lot of CNC work done. It always looks kind of dead, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people leave out the sharp corners and points because that's extra work. So I was really pleased to get this scroll saw and use it and see the benefit of it. I used the CNC to deal with the X pattern at the front of the flying portico. Then I cut out those X's and then cut bevel angles on them so it would all meet dead in the center. Then I sanded those cut faces, I don't show it here, but on a flat piece of material with a piece of aggressive sandpaper. The next step was to chisel out the corners. Making things sharp definitely makes a difference with this kind of work. I plowed out a recess so that I could epoxy the X detail into the end of the piece. And then I used all means to cut the tenons and mortises, whatever it took. And I used a large chamfering bit to create the chamfers. And unfortunately I don't show it here in the video, but I used a chisel to cut like 45-degree sharp flat surfaces at the ends of the chamfers. And I'm going in 2 passes here, one for hogging out and then just a little bit deeper for the final pass. I adhered a small piece of paper with a pattern on the edge there and cut it out with a bandsaw, and then came after it with files and aggressive sandpaper to smooth out that front detail. I used the drill press to bore out the mortises, and then I did a lot of fitting of the mortises and tenons. And then the next step was to epoxy things together, and I chose just to epoxy one joint initially so that I'd be able to fit the panel in and avoid the risk of epoxying it in inadvertently, because I wanted the panel to be able to float ultimately. Then I cut the panels to their size and shape. And soften the edges so that they'd float a little easier. Then I did the fitting of everything, just making sure everything fit. And I primed everything again, all the surfaces that I wouldn't be able to prime once everything was assembled. And I epoxied the drop finial and the X detail. Then I did the final epoxying of the 2 remaining joints to capture the floating panel. Then I used some heavy-duty timber locks on a somewhat of an angle just to really reinforce that back joint. Then I sanded the faces with any epoxy that had squeezed out. Then I primed everything and I delivered the parts to the job site, and it was up to the carpenters from there forward to assemble everything into a roof structure. And here it is finally. Carpenters did a great job putting it all together and putting a roof on it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give me a like and subscribe if you like. And I hope to see you in the next video.